What's good, y'all? Now, I sat here and watched this whole thing. Of course, I want my time back, but I did it for you guys, my loyal subbies, okay? And for you guys who are new, stay, join the party. Now, KB is back for a second interview with Miss Amber D. And let me just say, KB carried this interview. She carried the podcast. She ran it. Because throughout the episode, it was just a lot of like, really? Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. You know that. Like, come on, y'all. You know what I say? I always say I miss real journalism. Okay. Not everybody needs a mic. But I get that KB has become the baby of Netflix. I'm sure in the springtime we gonna get some kind of special about her and her man's having a baby, my baby special, because this has become the relationship that is the poster child of the whole Love is Blind universe, where there have been many other couples, one in particular that we would love to follow, but for some reason Netflix just throws away that one solid couple, who really made it all these years and have a story to tell. Okay. But I digress, y'all. But I'm Denise Brady. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I love reality TV entertainment. I love to entertain you guys and also educate you. Okay. Now, throughout this interview, there were some things that we did not know, we did not see, but I feel like the majority of it was about Edmund. Okay. And though it feels like it was her speaking about her story, at the same time, I feel like she was also telling Edmund's story. And there were some particular things that kind of bothered me about telling somebody else's story. I want to hear from him. Okay. I want to hear from his voice, not somebody else, not you regurgitating a conversation y'all had together after the reunion. I want to hear more from him. Okay. But they start off by talking about the narratives and the narrative of her being an angry black woman and how she was just really trying to fight that, but no matter what, that was a narrative. And I do think, watching these different reality shows, oftentimes black women do get the angry black woman narrative. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, it's edited that way. In this situation, I see a combination of both things. I see you were angry. Okay, were you the stereotypical angry black woman? No. But I think at times you were frustrated, angry, upset, want to give up. And sometimes those feelings, emotions came off on camera in not the best way. And since this is a reality show about entertainment, we gotta, add a little bit of sauce to it, okay, to keep these people watching. And unfortunately, you became the sauce. Okay, you and your relationship was really without Edmund and KB. What would this season have really given? Y'all let me know in the chat. Okay. But she talked about the public perception, how she has this, the public sees her as a hood chick based off her Instagram. And we went over her Instagram, we ran through it. And I still believe the aesthetic that we are getting from the show. After the show, I feel like we're seeing more of herself. But I do feel like the aesthetic that we got from the Instagram was not the same aesthetic that we saw you on. Is it the hood aesthetic? No, I don't think that. I think there is a certain type of aesthetic that it's giving. I think it's maybe more of like the Instagram baddie, um, that type of deal. The girl who dates like ballers, rappers, that type of deal. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Girl, live your life. Do you pull them coochie cutters and the crop tops with your titties hanging out because you work for it? Okay. You work for it. So I do think that her Instagram does give a certain narrative, but I don't think that it's fair that people just judge her off photos. If you in the gym, you eating right, you have every right to show off body, your choice, your decisions. And I hate that, especially as a black woman, there is a jump to conclusions or a jump to judge. Whereas we see the girls like the Hudas, similar Instagram photos, similar gym photos, but where's the hate? Where's the she just one of them girls who just want to, guys to look at her and like her photos. I don't see the same narrative for black women that that Black women get that we see in other cultures where the girls are doing the same thing. Okay, and some of those photos have gotten deals, brand deals, name recognition, and more opportunities, but not the same judgment that we see for Black women who show up as their authentic selves, celebrating their bodies and doing whatever they want with them. Okay, but where's the Huda hate? Where's the Huda judgment? Okay, some people can do no wrong because in the public's eyes, you guys have these parasocial relationships that I don't care about. I don't care about some of my other stuff. I'm a fan no matter what. And I don't think that KB has the same fandom as some of these other shows and these other people. Okay. So that's why I think people have jumped to conclusions about her being a hood chick because she's Black. She shows her body. Body is tea. And she worked for it. So why not? Okay. But let's make it more of a equal thing where y'all gonna say stuff about Black women, say it about other people. But let me get off my soapbox so y'all gonna stop watching the video because of that. Okay. Now, she also talks about public perception and the armchair diagnosing of Edmund. And this is the kind of part that I was like, I'm not liking this. Okay. Because it felt like she was doing the same thing, but hiding her hand. She talks about people, feeling like, Edmund has autism. First, she didn't say the word, still a tabooness. I'm not going to say the word. But that diagnosis that people on the internet have been saying about Edmund, yeah, I just feel like, um, if people, have that, they should come out and say it. And I'm not saying that he has it, but, you know, we talked about it. And it's his story. He should come out and talk about it. And, all those things that people are saying. I hate that that's happening to him, but at the same time, he might be on the spectrum. Choose a side. Okay. I think there needs to be a little bit more media training because I think you kind of get the same thing that you saying everybody else is doing, labeling him as autistic, labeling him as manipulative, labeling him as, using emotional manipulation, still using those labeling words. But you're like, well, I don't, that's his thing. But his trauma, him manipulating me, him being on his knees, it's like if that's really his story, why not just say, yeah, people on the internet have been saying a lot of things about him, mental health wise, diagnosing him, but I don't want to sit up here and do the same. And leave it at that. I hope that he can come on here and share his story, or one day, you know, he might reflect on some things, but I don't want to sit up here and do the same thing the internet is doing. But instead, you did it. Okay, you did it. And I think there's just so much stigma. There's so much just like, especially in the Black community, and men being diagnosed with different things later in life, where that's ASD, where that's OCD, where that's ADHD. Men are coming to terms with it more, but I just feel like there's still this just like, damn, I hate to say this, but weaponization. That's what it kind of felt like, y'all. Now that I'm thinking about it. And I don't think that she purposely did. I don't want to think she purposely kind of was trying to go that route, but it just felt a little cringy to me as a therapist. Like, okay, everybody else is saying that. I don't want to be a part of that, but I'm also going to talk about it on here, even though he's not here. And he gave me permission to talk about these things. What are we doing, y'all? What are we doing? Okay. But she talks about feeling like there was some coercion, some manipulation. Um, and that there were a lot of things we didn't see. There were times where the whole relationship there was arguing, arguing, arguing. But then she said there was a lot of great times. I'm like, girl, you saying two different things. You saying two different things. Like, which is it? And I get a relationship can have both moments of arguments, moments of greatness. Those moments of greatness are what keep you on the relationship. Okay. The moments of greatness are when you stay. It's like, yeah, he hit me. Yeah, he cheated. Yeah, I found some people on his phone. But man, it just feels so good sometimes that I forget all the BS and I stay with him. Okay, I stay with him. Voila. I want y'all to reflect on that for a second. Because some of y'all might be doing that. Okay. Some of y'all might be doing that. Now, the biggest problems in their relationship were communication, once again, manipulation. She says he never apologized. Did we watch the same show? Because I feel like I did see him apologizing over and over again. There's a little bit of a lack of accountability here. What was my role in some of these dynamics? How did we get here? Okay. And there's a lot of, well, she's a social worker. Where are her skills? Just because I am a social worker does not define my personality. That's not the end all be all. Me as a therapist, I am a therapist. That is not my personality. That does not encompass all my actions, opinions, everything that I do. So I think there was a little bit of like, well, she should be better at this. We're all a work in progress. We're all trying to figure it out. We all have times where the skills come into play. And then there are other times where it's like, oh, yeah, I don't remember any of the skills and I'm just mad. I'm just mad. I'm frustrated. I'm just frustrated. Okay. But I do feel like he was apologizing, but I feel like at times there was a lack of accountability for how I contribute to where we are, how we got here. And I think we need to spend more time looking at ourselves and self reflecting about how we contribute to our relationships, where that's romantic, where that's platonic, where that's decisions you make. It's easy to blame, point the finger at somebody who's not present, who can't speak for themselves. And AB was like similar, just like feeding into the Edmund is the problem. But then again, I'm not surprised because we see Amber do it. We saw Ashley do it. This is a platform for people to, Black women to come on at times and not take accountability. Because I think at times AD has not taken accountability for different decisions and relationships she's been in. But y'all gonna beat me up for that. Okay, y'all gonna beat me up for that. Now there were some unseen things. Let's get to it. Okay. Her mom and sister actually met Edmund. Where was that? Where was that at? We couldn't have seen that. Was that too boring? Was that not entertaining? Okay, I would love to have seen, her mom and sister meet his family, his mom. Okay, but I guess that was not entertaining. Okay. She also says that he was an emotional drunk, which I can believe. I shouldn't say drunk. He becomes emotional. Let me therapeutic that for y'all. Make it therapy. He becomes emotional when he drinks. And she even talks about this incident where he tried to pull Casey into the bathroom. Okay. And she feels like he gaslit her because when she brought it up, he didn't remember, but then he kept bringing it up in different ways. I feel like their relationship was very much stuck in this loop. Okay, you say something, I didn't really do that. Yes, you did. I'm sorry. We're in a good place. You do something, I'm frustrated. I apologize. It's this toxic loop that they got stuck in. And Casey, you give him a pass around. Okay, because it seems like a lot of the cast were involved in some sloppy swapping of fluids beyond the cameras. She is quiet as kept. The things that happened when the season was over was more entertaining than things that were on screen. Okay. But apparently Edmund tried to pull Casey, who I'm probably sure was a little bit intoxicated herself. All right. But what's going on with Casey over there? Uh, You and Patrick? Wasn't it like her and Joe had something going on? Wasn't it also her and who else? Edmund? And was there something with Luca Daddy? Okay. But you can kind of like pass around a little bit. Okay. She also talks about there were a lot of arguments that were not seen, that production often had to um, come into play and just say, y'all need to take a break. Okay. Y'all need to take a break. Some of that I believe, but at the same time, if there were like so many incidents where production had to get in um, and help you guys navigate and not pull you guys apart, but say you needed a break, why didn't they show us that? Because Netflix loves them some drama. So it's like I partially believe that, but then at the same time, where is that? Okay, where is that? And she's one key thing she says is that she falls in love with potential at the cost of what to me? Bars, KB, bars. I fall in love with the potential of somebody else at the loss and cost of what to me? That is so many people. I see the bad behaviors, I see the trauma, I see the mistakes, I hear the things you've done with other people, relationships, how you cheated, you lie, you steal, blah, 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 blah. But I see that you have potential. You just need somebody to kind of come in and like help you out. And I become that person. And then I mold you, you get better, you're on your healing journey, only for what? You to do the same thing to me, or you leave me, and then the next person you're married. Okay, you're married, you have a baby, and all the work I've done, I just see it on Instagram with your new family. I see it on TikTok. Okay, but that to me was like, wow, a very reflective moment about her needing to choose herself. And when it came to the wedding day, she discusses choosing herself. Now she says she really didn't know what she was gonna do until she got up there, and then when she saw him cry, that's when she made her decision. I don't believe that because all this is production. We need to know, should we hire a makeup person? Do we need catering at your location? How many chairs we need? This is a production, y'all. Okay. Now, if this was just a decision you making in your backyard, maybe. But did we see a makeup artist? Did we see somebody doing hair? No. Did we really even see bridesmaids that much getting ready? Because you had already alerted them peoples, them Netflix people. y- I don't think y'all gonna need all that stuff because I'ma say no. Okay. And as an audience viewer, it was on the writing on the wall. You were gonna say no. Okay. So for me to believe you didn't really know till you got up there and you looked at him, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I wish there was a little bit more, once again, honesty and a little bit more transparency. Okay, because you knew, girl. I don't know how long you knew, but you knew for some time that you probably weren't going to say yes. Because if you were going to say yes and you really didn't know, you would have saw all the things we normally see when someone is getting ready for the wedding: hair, makeup, more interactions in the suites. Okay, more you talking to your friends. Girl, how you feel about getting married? The cue cards. Okay, what is it about Edmund that you really love? Can you imagine the rest of your life? Did we see any of that? No, we did not. No, we did not. And now we also saw her talk a little bit about him being the nice guy. He feels like he can't pull a black woman. This was also his first time being with a black woman. I don't know if I knew that, but it was not surprising. They both laugh at that. That is not surprising. They're a little bit judgy. A little bit judgy now. Okay. But I think race comes into play in their relationship. Him not being raised primarily by a black family, him still trying to figure out who he is as a black man, with other black people, and his own self as a black individual, not being raised primarily by foster parents who were black. And I've said in previous, recaps and discussions, I think transracial adoptions play a big role in how people develop their lives, how they show up. And it doesn't seem like Edmund is used to being around a lot of black people. And I think him being raised by, according to her, I'm not sure not fully sure. Not being fostered by a Black family really did do a disservice to him. Okay, culturally fitting in, learn about where you come from, your roots. And at the forefront, maybe that wasn't the primary focus in his life. Maybe it was just about getting him a stable home. And there are people around him, non-Black people, who helped raise him. The teacher was the biggest part of his life. And those moments are impactful and important. I just think that, those transracial adoptions and the impact of those people as adults, not feeling like they're really connected, whether you are an Asian adoptee, a Black adoptee, and your family not being matching the same culture you're from. We often hear how those kids, as they grow up, they have to learn about their ancestry, have to learn about who they are as people, as adults. And that's really hard. Okay, that's really hard. But I think that, I don't think Edmund should have been on this show. Not for your typical reasons of that. He's manipulative, he's a gaslighter. I just think that there should have been a lot more self-work. And putting someone who is it not in the best mental state in this type of environment can be very retriggering, re-traumatizing, and very impactful to their mental health. And I can only imagine what he's kind of going through and facing, like all this scrutiny on the internet, where his supporters were the people who, really got his back. I don't even know if, KB says she got love for him. They're still friends. This is friends? This is how you treat your friends? This is what you say about them? I don't really know. Okay. And I also don't believe she ever lived in Denver. She says now, I think the last year and a half, she's been in Virginia. I don't think she ever really lived in Denver. It doesn't give that. Okay. I'm thinking she was there on assignment. The show came up, she applied and got on. The show really don't even take place in Denver. Half these places, it take place in California. Okay. The pots are in California. They fly them out. Then they go on a little vacation in Mexico. And then once they have to live together, the later half of the season, they get a rental. So you really ain't gotta be from these places that they're saying that the show is in. Next one is gonna be, is it Austin or was that? I think that's Married at First. No, Married at First Sight is Austin. All these shows I watch. But I think the next Love is Blind is Austin. But none of these people really gotta be from there because in reality, you're not filming there too much. Okay. And then when you do go there, you just get an Airbnb for the last I say probably 2 weeks. You're in an Airbnb because half these people we don't see their friends, their family, so you ain't gotta be from there. You really don't. You just gotta have a good LinkedIn profile, a good Instagram, be Instagrammable, have what they want you to look like, a certain aesthetic, and that's it. Okay, that's it. It's pretty fake. It's pretty fake. Okay, but like everybody don't need a mic. Knowing that the whole relationship was just about arguing is not surprising. We didn't see any romantic connection. I don't even think I saw like a friendship type connection. All these people need to move on. Netflix needs to go back to the drawing board because this ain't it. The plot has been lost. And even though I say that, I'm gonna watch next season. Okay, I'm probably gonna watch AV special too because I need to recap it and discuss it. Okay, but yeah, this was another interview where, yeah, ah, like but these are my thoughts. Okay, hopefully I like them. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Did you watch it? Hopefully I gave y'all the Cliff Notes version because I had lost a couple brain cells watching this shit. But I'm Denise Brady. Hit that like, subscribe to the video. So many lost individuals on this show. People have no sense of who they are, but they find themselves trying to match with somebody who also ain't found. Okay, y'all trying to find yourselves in relationships, marriages, and then bring kids into that. Only for them kids, to sit on my couch, to sit across the screen from me. because you have parents who are lost individuals who haven't done the work, who have not healed, who are not in a place who want to heal, now having children. Okay. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours. Hit that like, subscribe, do all I do to support this channel, hype up the video. The membership is only $1. Join the membership to support this channel. And I'm going to see y'all next time. Bye.